Hello, this is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, and it's time for a genuine, fabulous, fascinating rarity that you really need to know. What would you say if I told you that there is a piano concerto sitting around out there which is as fabulous as anything by Bartok or Prokofiev or any one of those 20th century giants of the keyboard, but you don't know it? Nobody knows it. It's ridiculous that nobody knows it. It's by, of all people, Carlos Chavez, the great Mexican composer who nobody pays attention to other than occasionally, like the Sinfonia India, things with all of those sort of native sounds in it. And of course, the percussion toccata, we can't forget that. And pieces with unpronounceable Aztec names like Xochipitl and Chacatacapatek and Pichacuchuchuacha, This guy was a real composer. He had an internalized nationalistic idiom, and the comparison with Bartok is really apt because we know what Bartok sounds like, right? He sounds Hungarian on the one hand and like Bartok on the other. Nobody sounds like him. And Chavez was just like that. He internalized the ethnic and nationalistic ingredients and formed a completely fabulous, fascinating personal idiom out of them. I mean, he wrote 6 symphonies. 6! Only a couple of which are, the first 2 are those, cute sort of nationalistic folksy things with all the fun percussion going off, here and there. I mean, there is more to this guy than musical guacamole. And the piano concerto is a case in point. It is a major statement. He only wrote 2 concertos, one for piano and one for violin. This one was composed in 1940 and premiered at that time, and it was performed subsequently by some very, very famous pianists, including Claudio Arrau. Dmitri Mitropoulos conducted it. Eugene Liszt played it. I mean, people played this thing, and then it disappeared. Like almost everything that Chavez wrote, it just disappeared. And it's a crime. It's absolutely a crime because this concerto makes sounds. It offers combinations of piano and orchestra, the likes of which you have never heard before. And happily, because there's only one recording of it, one major recording of it anyway, I mean, who knows what else is floating about out there, by Jorge Federico Osorio, the wonderful Jorge Federico Osorio, on Cedille Records, and I have permission from Cedille Records to use clips. I'm going to play you 3 samples, one from each movement, and you are going to love it. I guarantee it. It is fascinating. The other performers are let's see if I can see this in this very dark type. It's the here we go, Orchestra Sinfónica Nacional de Mexico under Carlos Miguel Prieto. And a wonderful, wonderful performance it is. I want to give you kind of a sense of what the piece sounds like so that you can experience a little bit for yourself. And then you're going to run out and grab it. And then you have to listen to it. You really have to listen to it. This is not the kind of piece where you just put it on and you go, it was pretty, isn't that nice? You need to hear it. You need to sit and work with it and let it soak in and get into your bones a little bit and hear it a few times to kind of grasp where it's going, because I have to be honest, it's a piece of tremendous complexity and imaginative daring. It really is. It's a very, very serious concerto. Well, the first movement is 20 minutes long. It's not one of those fluffy little things. It begins with a slow introduction, and I want to play you just the transition between the slow introduction and the initial allegro. Listen to this. Isn't that fascinating? Doesn't it sound like something momentous is going to happen? And something momentous does. It's quite splendid. Now, the slow movement is wonderfully written with incredible interchanges between the harp and the piano and solo winds. And it is music of incredible stillness. It just rises to one big climax towards the end. It's a gradual crescendo and diminuendo, and then it's over. But it's amazingly evocative and atmospheric. Just listen to this, to how the solo flute leads to the solo oboe with flecks of harp and piano underneath. It's extraordinary. You've never heard anything like it. I guarantee it. Listen here. And finally, we get the finale. Now, the finale is just as meaty and as distinctive as the other two movements. Of course, it's a virtuoso piece. The playing is, Osorio is incredibly virtuosic and technically adroit, but it's also again music of great seriousness. I wouldn't call it exactly joyful. It's almost menacing in parts and often ferocious. I mean, it has that sort of animal intensity that we like to think about when we talk about some of Chavez's earlier music. But here, as you can hear, it's completely internalized. And it's just wonderful. Here, listen to this passage. This just comes from the middle of the finale, and it's just, I don't know. I've never heard a piano concerto that sounds like this. That's the point. Here, listen to this. That gives you, I think, a taste, a sense of where this piece is going. It's 37 minutes long. You've got plenty of time to revel in its remarkable sonorities, its rhythmic energy. And as I said, this performance with Jorge Federico Osorio is just great. And the disc also contains three other pieces. Let's see, what are they? Another piece by Chavez, the Meditación, a beautiful, slow lyrical piece. Another slow lyrical piece called Muros Verdes, Green Walls, by Moncayo, which is quite lovely and distinctive. And finally, a major work, the Variations on an Original Theme by Samuel Ziman, which is quite a spiky and original composition in its own right. I mean, when I first heard this disc a little while ago, when it first came out a few years back, I was dazzled. I really was so impressed. And, I had heard a lot of Chavez along the way. I mean, I have the symphonies, and we're going to talk about them. I mean, I really think Chavez is a major composer, and we are going to discuss him in detail, as we will Villalobos and a lot of the other, New World, non-American, like North American, United States American composers, because there's a slew of them, and they are great. I mean, Camargo, Mozart, Guarnieri, I mean, they're wonderful, and they've all been recorded. Now, the stuff is available, and we're going to have a blast. And I just think that this piece by Chavez is a wonderful way to introduce you to Chavez, the serious composer, the guy who has real meat on his bones. And there's tons of Chavez that we haven't heard yet. I mean, he wrote full-length ballets, he wrote other orchestral pieces. There really is a lot of music that deserves to be recorded, and hopefully someday, if we make enough of a fuss, someone will actually take a look and start to do it. In the meantime, please enjoy this wonderful, wonderful disc on Cedille of a major 20th century masterpiece by a great composer, the Piano Concerto by Carlos Chavez. Keep on listening, folks. You need to hear this. Take care.